San Antonio. I've got reporters in New York right now, Rob Jacobson. I got reporters in Austin. They say it's people that really know that Wall Street's corrupt and getting our tax money. So the good news is, Max Keiser, before we go to Tarpley, is that the system's trying to co-opt this, and it's not working, in my opinion.
No, the system's, it's failing because the misery is so high. The austerity is kicking in, the economy is crashing, and people are just realizing that there's no point in hoping for something better to come along. They have to act now. You know, you're not too far from the Dallas Federal Reserve Bank. It's one of the biggest Federal Reserve banks. You know, you could get enough people to create a circle entirely around the Dallas Federal Reserve Bank and say, the head of this bank, come out with your hands up.
You know, that's a great idea. We're going to be up there. I can get up there by 5:30 or 6. I'm going to leave here at 1, so I could be there easily by 5. We're going to officially say it kicks off at 6 to dark, which is about 7:30 or so, Friday night. Then I'm going to drive down to Houston, high noon, then to San Antonio, 10 a.m. to noon the next day. But I'm asking people, and we're about to get a press release out today. Aaron Dykes is in there writing it. I'm asking people to, do it whenever you want, or if it's 5 of you or 100 of you. Get your groups together. Get your In the Fed, the Ron Paul Campaign for Liberty. Let's go. Don't let them just blame capitalism and anybody that's on the stock market as some enemy that's got to, go to the re-education camp. Let's actually go after the banksters here.
Yeah, remember Waco, man. This is when this all got started. The U.S. attacked its own citizens. Now they're popping their own citizens overseas, assassinating them without any due process. So the Civil War, what started in Waco is now outright civil war. The Dallas Fed just circle the entire institution with a human chain and don't break the circle and just stay there until the head comes out with his hands up. You're under arrest.
Well, Max, let's have you choose the location. And this could be done by other parts of the country. I'll get behind it. I'll promote it. If people get us the information, this isn't, get orders from headquarters. It's go to the sound of the info guns, as Paul Revere would say. But I think, again, I'm going to be showing up and speaking at Fed locations and promoting it. And if it gets big enough down the road, I would come and maybe stay for a week or so and do my broadcast there, because we've got to identify them as the real threat. They're hoping we're just going to show up for a few hours, leave. But if we stay there and occupy, should it be the Dallas Fed? Should it be the Houston Fed or the San Antonio Fed? I mean, I'm kind of thinking we got a big activist group in San Antonio, but we've got a lot of listeners in Dallas as well. We've got like 3 affiliates in that general area of Northeast Texas, several affiliates right there in DFW, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I'm thinking, why not go ahead and just call for people from Friday night through the next Friday to occupy the area around the Dallas Federal Reserve and really bring real attention on these people, Max?
Well, why don't you put it to Twitter and ask, whenever you get the biggest response, do that. And I'm all about to make it as easy as possible, because I just want to win. So you put it on Twitter, you say, here's the 3 locations, see what the Twitter people are willing to do. Whatever the biggest response is, do that.
By the way, I'm going to have Kurt Nemos out today, but I think Aaron knows how to put up an InfoWars poll. We could ask Dallas, San Antonio, or Houston. And again, I would say New York, but we had listeners, and we promoted it, who had demonstrations. One time the guy just put it out on his Twitter, nobody showed up, and they had like 50-something cops ringing the Federal Reserve in New York. That's obviously the most important. But there you kind of get overshadowed.
Texas is ripe for this because of the history, as we just talked about it a minute ago.
That's what I'm saying. Hundreds showed up at the next one I promoted with only a day's notice for New York. So I'm saying, my gut tells me San Antonio, Dallas, Houston. How about activists just occupy them all? Ha-ha!
Because it's not efficient, Alex. I mean, if there's one thing I try to bring to your show, it's be efficient. Bring economies of scale. Just be as efficient as possible, because you're dealing with an enemy that has an unlimited credit line that they pay nothing for, and they print trillions of dollars. Therefore, we must be as smart and as efficient as possible.
Okay, I agree with you. But some people can't travel. It's a big state. Now, I'm gonna get Tarpley's take on this when you leave us, but what are our list of demands? Obviously, we're told it's the Warren Buffett plan of raise taxes on the middle class, pay it in austerity money to foreign banks. That's not the hippie, dupe, useful idiot plan we're going with. What are the demands? Say no to the derivatives bubble, claw back the 16.5 plus 16.6 trillion, cut the defense budget by 50%, pull our troops out of all foreign military bases. I mean, what do we demand to get our country back on a national bond to build maglev trains, light pebble reactors that don't have these safety problems, giant highway projects? What do we do?
There's only one demand. There's only one choice: regime change. You pick somebody, maybe the head of the Dallas Fed, and you're not leaving until they resign. That's the demand. And it's got to happen, and you got to score a win. It worked in Cairo. It worked in Tunis. It works whenever there's a revolution. Whoever's at the head, they have to leave. A regime change. We want that guy out, and we're not leaving until he leaves. This way, everybody knows that they have to stay until that guy leaves. So it's very, very simple. That guy must leave.
Well, I want the abolishment of the Federal Reserve System and to go back to the Congress.
You can't win that. You can't win that with a protest like this, because you're going to end up...
So you're saying we need a symbolic victory to begin more victories?
It's not symbolic. It's a real victory. Nobody wants to give up their cushy Federal Reserve job. You know,
okay, so we say we're going to occupy Federal Reserve areas around the country until Ben Bernanke is indicted or resigns.
Well, again, in my opinion, the one that would work and get traction and have an effect that really is workable is you pick a chair of one of these Fed institutions, like maybe Dallas. We know that Jamie Dimon is both on the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. He's one of the board members. Plus, he's also the CEO of J.P. Morgan. But, okay, you're not going to go to New York. You're going to be in Texas. And I have a feeling that you're going to get great response in Texas. So of those 3 Federal Reserve banks you have listed, pick one that the people are there and willing to do. Find out who runs it. Then go there, circle it, and say, we're not leaving.
No, I agree with you. I'll tell you, another really powerful branch is the Kansas City, and we have the footage of Aaron and Rob Jacobson being a half-mile away, and they come off, security guards with guns, and say, leave. And they say no, and they start, putting the hands on the guns. So my guys left to not cause problems. But and then meanwhile, Herman Cain, who used to be the head of that, says, oh, just go say hi to them. Give them a call. They're friendly. Look, folks, don't be intimidated by them. We need to have demonstrations at all Federal Reserves and to call the media before you go, days before. But I'm coming 6 o'clock p.m., no excuses, to that Dallas Fed. Then I'm going to go to its big Houston branch and then the San Antonio branch. On Sunday. It's all going up to press release in the next few hours at Infowars.com. Max Keiser, thank you so much for spending time with us. We look forward to speaking to you soon.
All right, buddy.
All right, great having him on. I said I'd take calls, and then I've got the nightly news coming up tonight, and I've got my whole Border Patrol run in. We've now learned it was over 100 miles inside the U.S. It was illegal. They're not even supposed to have these, but 100 miles. Now it's over 100. That's coming up tonight. If you're not at PrisonPlanet.tv, remember that supports the show. We're going to Tarpley here in a moment. I also want to get to more of your calls. I've taken a few of them. I want to just add here that we are listener-supported. When you buy the T-shirts, the End the Fed T-shirts, we're putting those on super sale right now, so you can have the right gear up there this weekend, wherever you're at. We ship the stuff out within a day, so get your orders in today for the End the Fed T-shirts, Ron Paul T-shirts, you name it. Also, I've done a lot of research for years into the very best gravity-fed filters out there, and ProPure big water filtration system is the best. And we've got them discounted even more than the manufacturer, who, by the way, is a patriot, and I'm planning to get on the show. They've got stainless steel spigots instead of the leaky plastic ones. They've got the little stainless steel thing where you can tell how full it is without looking inside of it. They've got the fluoride-free filter advanced systems. Believe me, folks, this blows away any gravity-fed filter I've ever seen, because you notice I haven't been selling these for years. I wanted to find the best, and this is it. And I'm so glad that we're carrying ProPure, available at Infowars.com today. Just go look at everything it takes out to non-detectable levels. Absolutely amazing. Just click on the shopping cart link at Infowars.com or the banners. And also all the books, the videos, the materials, because just because you're awake doesn't mean your friends and family are awake yet. And also your purchase of the books, the videos, all of it makes this transmission possible. You notice I pledged to you that I'm going to turn up the heat in my fight against the globalist. I'm going to the streets, And I have always looked for other people to be leaders. I just try to put out the info. But as the way history turns, it's been demanded that I be a leader. And so I am into the fray. Cry havoc and turn loose the dogs of the info war. I am on. I'm going to be speaking across the U.S. I'm going to be driving across the U.S. I'm going to be facing the Federal Reserve down. I am not going to let the bankers bring in a bunch of phony collectivists to sell austerity with a bunch of commies dancing around. It's not even communism. It's banker-induced fraud. And a man who, I keep saying this guest predicted, that guest predicted, Tarpley and the Obama deception 3 years ago, total precision, that Libya would be invaded, African, Obama, total war, banker bailouts, takeovers, austerity, imploding Europe, into the euro, new global superbank, because he's reading their own documents. He is a scholar. A cogitator who pores over the text of the globalist, a doctor of history, an economist, a best-selling author, an accomplished man who really is a great addition to our cadre against tyranny. And I'm here to tell you that he last Wednesday spurred me, because I've been sitting there for about a week and a half. Well, I know there's George Soros people here, and I know they've got this big push of the 1% by the big oligarchs to then tax with VAT and sales tax, and they've got all the neocon hosts promoting it as well to pay what we quote owe. That'll just put the country into cardiac arrest. We don't owe this. They got Beck promoting the VAT taxes and the sales taxes. O'Reilly, the list goes on and on. Hannity, all of them. Herman Cain, Neil Warts, all of them. Just cold-bloodedly in there hitting us hard. And Tarpley exposed it. But now the Democratic Party admits they're running it, all of it. But I've got reporters all over the country. They say that the people there actually are aware of the New World Order, the oligarchs. They don't want the bailouts. They understand what's happening. But the media, Webster, the dominant corporate whore media that's starting to die but still hanging on, still able to put a hoax out. Tarpley, as you know, they're only giving attention to weird foundation, fake, collectivoid creatures. What's going on here in the grand stratagem? Because they are saying this is the revolution. Well, if it's a George Soros color revolution, I'm not going to be part of it.
Quite right, Alex. What we're seeing is the dynamic of the mass strike, a sociological process that we've been aware of for 100, 150 years. It simply means that under conditions of economic breakdown and severe depression, which is what we now have, there will be forms of mass resistance. And we saw this in the Tea Party in a certain form at the beginning. It was a kind of a spontaneous protest against the horrors of Obamaism. We've seen it again now in a much more advanced form in Wisconsin back in February, in Ohio, and some degree in Michigan also, but mainly the Wisconsin general strike at the level of a state against this fascist governor and his union-busting plan. But now we're seeing it on an even broader level. And of course, we've seen it overseas. We can talk about some of these models in just a minute. The problem with the mass strike, though, is it doesn't solve anything. It's an opportunity, but it's not a solution. And the question then is always, who will provide program, leadership, organization? Who will give this a direction? Who will propose the measures that are needed? Because unfortunately, after being stupefied for a number of decades, people themselves they're not able to come up with.
And by the way, it's now admitted Soros gave $5 million. He's running the co-opting of the entire deal, and his answer is raise the middle class and poor people's taxes to pay it all in banker bailouts to Warren Buffett. I mean, it's classic.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, he wants to take control of it. If you look at the Tea Party, what happened to the Tea Party was the Koch brothers moved in, the Freedom Works moved in, Heartland Institute moved in, a whole bunch of these right-wing reactionary think tanks moved in, and they domesticated the Tea Party till it became the right wing of the Republican election campaign. Similarly, today, when we look at, there are two things going on, right? One is Occupy Wall Street in New York. There's going to be one here in Washington called October 2011.
No. The mainstream media got behind it. It's everywhere. It's Austin. It's Dallas. It's San Antonio.
The people that are actually behind this, because these things present themselves as leaderless groups, but unfortunately they're not. In New York, the substructure of this is essentially the Soros group of foundations, the SEIU, and ACORN. So that's the left wing of the Obama campaign. Here in Washington, D.C., we have David Swanson and Kevin Zeese. These are two bitter enemies enemies of 9/11 truth left over from the effort by the foundations to keep the 9/11 movement and the peace movement separate in previous years. So there's a very heavy degree of misleadership. Plus, there are just a lot of left liberal mushheads running around, people who are trying to promote themselves. You see Michael Moore moving in. Now, a couple of things about what your previous guest was saying. The program is what counts, but the program of saying down with, Mr. X, down with some person, this is absolutely futile and pointless, and I'm really sorry.
We need to say abolish the Fed, restore free credit of the government to the population to turbocharge, and we're out of the Depression.
Well, I would think this is a complex.